Welcome to Public Forum, a community outreach program produced at North Idaho College on the shores of Lake Coeur d'Alene. Featuring guests from around the globe addressing a wide variety of subjects, Public Forum serves to educate and enlighten. Please join host and moderator, political scientist Tony Stewart, in welcoming today's guest.
We're very pleased today to discuss a very exciting program that's under the auspice of the University of Idaho. In Post Falls, in our state, some time ago, the University of Idaho very wisely set up what has become known as the Idaho Research Park. And the director of that research park is with us today. We welcome to the program Doug McQueen, who is here to talk about what has already happened and what some of the future plans are. And I think it will really impact all the inland Northwest and even beyond that as research goes on, and it has a great relationship to economic development. Mr. McQueen, welcome to the program. We're so pleased to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
At the time we're taping this program, which is in late September and it will air later, you've just had a very special ceremony and dedication. And would you share that with us? And we're going to go back from the inception of this particular project. But what happened just recently?
Yeah, we had our dedication the other day, the Jacqueline Science and Technology Building. This is a building that has been under construction for a while, for some people too long, and including me and some of my tenants. But the building was finished, and we moved in a few weeks ago, and we had our dedication the other afternoon.
You had a lot of dignitaries there. You had the president, of course, of your university, Dr. Hoover, and Governor Kempthorne, and a number of other people.
Yeah, Larry Craig had his representative, Dan Whiting, here, and the governor was good enough to join us, and President Hoover, of course, always makes these kinds of things. So we had a good turnout. We had over 125 people, and had a good time.
I think at this point, as we're going to get into discussion this, I will ask our staff to put up some photographs that you provide for us, and we'll take a look. It's good for the viewers to see a physical layout. And so if that'd be so nice as to put up the first slide that you have, we will take a look at what has just been dedicated.
Yeah, this is the building as it was rendered by our architect, Furman Passold of Passold Architects in Spokane. This is a 30,000 square foot building. It's recognized today by the Golden Arch. The actual arch is actually Vandal gold. This looks more like McDonald's, but I assure you that when you're there, it is truly Vandal gold. It is a building that has business offices and wet lab laboratories. We have a computer lab. We have a lot of amenities that multi-tenant uses would require. We've got 8 tenants in there now, plus a couple of university institutes. So it's a true multi-tenant building.
If we can take the second look, I think this is just somewhat a different photograph of the actual building itself.
Yeah, this is the building as it was the other day. That patio out in front, the courtyard, was full of people. You can see the name on it, the Jacqueline Science and Technology Building. This was named after the Jacqueline family that donated the land, which is under the building. And I can keep talking about the Jacquelines, but they have truly been supporters of the university for many years, all of them in different ways.
We have viewers in other states and in Canada, so if they don't know, the Jacqueline family owns a lot of property and has been in the seed growing business for a long time, but has donated a significant amount of land to your institution.
Right. The Jacquelines are, I think, the 3rd or 4th generation of the Jacqueline family in and around Post Falls, North Idaho, eastern Washington. And this is a bluegrass growing farmland community up here. The Jacquelines have been prominent in that farming business, but when I-90 went through, and as North Idaho continues to grow, they saw that a higher and better use of the land was with something else.
Let's take a look at the third picture. This was actually the ceremony itself, and I see the president of the institution along with the governor of the state. And
yeah, that's President Hoover standing on the podium, and the 3 men in the center are the 3 Jacqueline brothers of this current generation. And Governor Kempthorne is standing to the right.
And we got a couple other photographs. The next one, I think, is going to be a design layout of the whole area, if you'd share that with us.
Yeah, this is the master plan of the whole research park. The darker buildings are buildings that are already there. The copper-colored buildings are the ones that we think might be there over the next 20 years or so.
So it's got a major construction in the future.
Yes, major. The building, the Y-shaped building to the lower left, the dark brown building, is the Jacqueline Science and Technology building, where we were dedicating it the other day.
And one final picture, just a geographical view, I think, of where it's located in North Idaho. Of course, it's like Spokane is very beautiful, and this is the river going by.
Yeah, it's right on the Spokane River, and this is the view out our backyard. So it's got a lot of nice things to its advantage on I-90 close to the airport, and a lot of other advantages in Post Falls. But this is probably the best one, is the view that we get.
Easy to go to work every day when you can have such a view, isn't it?
Yeah, well, people actually go down there at lunchtime and
nice.
fish or jump in. And
Doug, if we may, let's go back to the inception of this idea, as I indicated, the University of Idaho Research Park. If you'll take us back to the very beginning and what the ideas were, and bring us up to the status of what all is there now, in addition to the other facilities, in addition to the building that we just looked at.
I've been here 5 years now. I just celebrated my 5th anniversary on September 1st. But as most projects go, this got started a few years before that. The Jacquelines were certainly promoters of this idea, as well as the university and a lot of community leaders. I'm sure you were among that group at one point or another. And the idea was to expand the university's presence in northern Idaho. The university's in Moscow. It is the land-grant school, and it has the responsibility and the opportunity to serve all of the students and all of the citizens throughout the state. So they have to expand, and they have to have their presence outside of Moscow. So we have campuses in Idaho Falls, in Boise, and now in Coeur d'Alene and Post Falls here in northern Idaho. We saw the demographics certainly warranted it, and the communities of Coeur d'Alene and Post Falls certainly have been proponents and real hard workers in getting us to expand here, and so we're doing that.
Yeah, this county, the Cooney County, is one of the fastest growing in the state, and I think we now rank 3rd in the state in population, either 2nd or 3rd, behind Ada County. So there's certainly going to be a lot of service needed here by your institution, University of Idaho, as well as North Idaho College, and also Lewis Clark State College is here. But the idea of the research park, as it has developed, what are all the purposes of this mission?
The purpose of the research park is to bridge the relationship between the university and the business community. We wear a lot of hats at the research park: economic development, community development, academics, research, outreach. We do diversity work now. So really what we do is everything that the university does, we do it here. The significance of the research park is centered on the research that goes on there. We concentrate on academics and research. We have a couple of institutes now that are housed in our facility, and the idea is to transfer the technology that happens at the U of I into a business environment. Hopefully we can grow some of the businesses that come out of the university. We can provide university expertise to some of the businesses that are here now, and we can just in general enhance the business atmosphere that we have here. Most economic development scenarios, most criteria, lists of criteria for economic development in a certain area have the university presence high on their list, and if possible, a research university. and that's the unknown, or the thing that we don't have here in Kootenai County that we want to grow in the research part.
But with that, you will have that, and so as businesses recruit in the future, they'll be cognizant of the fact that you are physically here and can assist them.
Yeah, having the building finished, having us there, having these key institutes that are there, puts a real presence, puts a real tangible presence to the community. When I go out, when Jobs Plus goes out, when any of the economic development organizations are trying to recruit or retain or enhance the businesses that are here, they always point to the university. And now we can offer a lot more than we could even a year ago.
You've mentioned that the university has 2 institutes there. Would you identify those and their functions?
Sure. I can tell you the acronyms.
Sure.
CAMBR, C-A-M-B-R, is the acronym for the Center for Advanced Microelectronics and Biomolecular Research.
Sounds very sophisticated.
Yes, it is. It is very sophisticated. This is a real coup for us because they were at the university until 8 years ago. They were in Moscow until 8 years ago. And they were kind of stolen away from us. They got some better deals, and they went to another university. And they all did well. They prospered. They got a lot of federal grants. They did a lot of good work. But they wanted to come back. They wanted to come back to Idaho. So Senator Craig and President Hoover and all of us that were part of this team to get them back did our work and got them back. So they're here. Their past work has been in microelectronics. They've devised computer chips and the chips that go into devices for spacecraft. They've got a lot of NASA grant money. Their specialty are chips that withstand the radiation from outer space and that have a better transmission record between outer space and land-based. The biomolecular part is new, and that is something that they have that they have just transgressed into over the last couple of years. The director of the institute is Gary Mackey, Dr. Gary Mackey, who was with the university 8 years ago. He's the one that's returned. His wife is Dr. Wusi Mackey, and she is the biologist, so she's heading up the biomolecular research aspect of their research. And they are doing research into foodstuffs at the molecular level, and this includes all sorts of things of recognizing pathogens, of identifying tastes and odors for security purposes. And after last year's anthrax scare, there's been a lot of interest in anthrax, and they have science that would apply to that, and it's my understanding that they're applying for grants to do that as well.
Very, very major, important work, and located here makes that very, very significant for us here, what they're doing. What is the other institute?
The other institute is the Center for Business Development and Entrepreneurship. I pause at that because they've changed their name, but this is an institute that helps small businesses. It's the university's small business administration, so to speak. They are up here now, and they will be helping small businesses as well as the community businesses that already exist that need some kind of support, research support. They do classes, they do conferences, and they're just another tool that we'll be able to use here to help the businesses that are already here and to recruit some of the new ones.
And so I would understand from what you're saying that part of their work would be with small businesses that are starting up, that they would be able to give them not only classes but lessons and some techniques that would assist them in their success.
Yes, they do. For instance, a lot of small companies have trouble with business plans. A lot of the scientists just aren't business oriented, and they have a hard time with the business plan, which is what all of the financiers want to see. when they're entertaining a proposal to fund. And so they need that help, and this organization can help them with that. They also have connections with some of the funding sources. Again, they all need funding, and to know where those sources are and how to approach them and how to apply for funding is very important. And so they'll be able to help everybody in Kootenai County and this area.
Well, those two institutes have very significant work, but you're housing other functions there other than the two institutes.
Yeah, we have quite a few things going on. INEAL, for instance, the Idaho National Environmental and Engineering Laboratories in Idaho Falls, has placed an office here now in the research park in Post Falls, and this is significant. INEAL, I don't remember their budget, but it's in the tens of millions of dollars a year in federal grants that go into the INEAL project in Idaho Falls. But all of the federal laboratories around the country have a new mandate to transfer the technology that comes from those laboratories. And that tech transfer is supposed to happen throughout the region that these labs represent. So our region is most of Idaho, but it includes some of the other states around here as well. So INEAL has decided to set up some branch offices, and there are a couple of them in southern Idaho, but this is the only one and the first one in North Idaho. So they just started, so we're real happy with that, and they will be another catalyst in being out in the community and helping the companies that are here and helping to recruit some of the new companies based on the science that goes on in Idaho Falls.
And part of that research, would it be in the field of energy?
Yes, energy, environmental remediation is another big one that they're doing there. And one of the reasons that they're here is the Silver Valley cleanup, right, the lake and river cleanup, all of the water issues that we have here. I'm sure there will be a lot of cooperation between those institutes and what we're doing here now.
Give us another couple examples of...
We have Idaho Tech Help here, which is another service organization. This is a federally granted program through the state of Idaho. They have 10 representatives throughout the state. We're lucky to have 2 here. I think Boise is probably the only other place where they have more than one. And their responsibility is to go out in the community and help small businesses, mostly with manufacturing engineering, but they branch out from there, and they have a wide range of expertise. If the 2 representatives that we have here now don't have the expertise, then they can call upon the other 8, and they can go beyond that as well. One nice thing that we have here is actually a Washington representative. The state of Washington has a similar program in eastern Washington, and just for the sake of convenience and expediency, they have located here at the research park. So we actually have the Washington representative along with our 2 reps over here.
With all this research going on and it's such a variety of subject matters, does the Research Center at the University of Idaho engage, or are your future plans engage in somewhat more of a consortium with a number of universities and colleges that we have in this area? Washington State University's got offices in Spokane and programs in Gonzaga and Whitworth and Eastern Washington University, and of course there are community colleges there, and then the community college here, and Lewis Clark has a presence. So what plans are there for there to be some kind of collaborative work between the resources that are at all those institutions?
We'll continue the great relationship that we have with all those now. You can probably tell me more about that than I can, but we've worked very well with NIC over the years, with Lewis Clark, and with Washington State, Gonzaga, all of them. We've got a nice history of that. I know when I came up here from Arizona 5 years ago and I heard that there was cooperation between the universities, I took it with a grain of salt because I hadn't seen that before. But I have seen it here. It works very well. We're kind of out here in the woods together, and we do a good job of cooperating. For instance, the city of Coeur d'Alene has also risen to the occasion and given a building to the university for our education and liberal arts colleges here in town. And they are working closely with LCSC and NIC, as they have for years, and those other two institutes actually have a presence in the new U of I building here. Over in Post Falls, we're right across the street from the North Idaho College Workforce Training Center, which is one of their most successful programs, and we work with them almost daily, at least weekly, on some project. They have their programs kind of blend in and rise to the things that we need from the trained people in a 2-year program, and also from the junior college aspect, where they will be graduating with an AA degree and wanting to move on. We're hoping to offer as many academic services as we can in the very near future, so that one of our goals is the kids in Kootenai County can finish a 4-year degree without having to go to Moscow or Pullman or outside of the state to finish that degree, and we're achieving that pretty quickly.
The North Idaho College Workforce Training Center, which is located next to you, as you indicated, I believe in the last 12 months processed in some course, some way, over 9,000 students. I was reading that report the other day. And so there is so many ways in which you complement one another and working in that together. Based upon what is happening in your center, what kind of employment are we talking about now? That's not only are you out there serving in those different capacities, but just the fact that employees are there drawing salaries has to impact the economic area also.
Yeah, the spin-off potential is great. For instance, the Camber Institute, Gary Mackey has started 3 companies in his sojourn in New Mexico, and he's got one company that's almost ready to go. He's got another company that one of them that he started in New Mexico is interested in moving here. There's all of the university programs that are here, and I didn't name a lot of them. For instance,
Sure.
we have the Agriculture College is expanding here. Our Vice President for Outreach, Larry Brannon, who is the former Dean of Agriculture, is now that Vice President. He is located here in Coeur d'Alene and Post Falls. He will be starting a lot of new programs. He will be expanding those from Moscow and starting new ones. And all of those have the potential for spinning off companies. And that goes for here in Coeur d'Alene as well. Some of the social sciences have programs that are spin-offable.
You already have a 4-year baccalaureate degree here in psychology, for example.
Yes.
That you can do here.
We're adding a GIS certificate program. We're adding environmental sciences. We have a collaborative engineering program with WSU and Gonzaga. So we hope to add several programs every semester and every year.
As director of the research park yourself, at your location in Post Falls, how many employees are involved in all of those organizations now, approximately?
When our building's full, we're about 90% full now. Again, this is late September, so we've got a couple of companies that haven't moved in yet, but they will in the next few weeks. And when the building's full, we'll have about 50, maybe as many as 60 people working in that building.
Yes. But also what makes that significant is that many of those are quality, well-paying positions,
Yes.
so that affects the economy too. And then
Yes.
and their families, and it helps the whole educational system. We don't have much time left, but I know that my good friend Bob Potter, who is the director, president of Jobs Plus, is on the board of directors of the Human Rights Education Foundation, and he's done a tremendous amount of work in recruiting, and he often lists for us the kinds of things companies are looking for. In addition to having a research center of a university here, he believes that, and I know you're very supportive of this, that there are other things companies are looking for. They look at a transportation system, they look at water, they look at research, but they're also very interested in diversity, aren't they?
Yes, they are. some of the, as you say, high on the list is the issue of diversity. The university, as you know, has brought on a specialist, Dr. Raul Sanchez, who's the special assistant to the president, who works for not only diversity but human rights in a much larger arena, and he is here often. My assistant, Teresa Colwas, in fact, works 1 day a week for diversity issues for Raul. So we have committed to that as well, and we host a lot of programs. Just last week we hosted the Mexican consulate, for instance, when he came to town, and we will be searching out and creating programs to further that cause.
Dr. Sanchez is working along with others such as Dr. Raymond Reyes, Vice President of Diversity at Gonzaga University. They're all involved on a committee for the Human Rights Education Foundation. So there is a process going on here now to create a hopefully world-class human rights center in this region, and to serve not only having people come to the center but also programs that reach out in the community. And I just want to make the point that the University of Idaho and Gonzaga and others, North Idaho College is very deeply involved in that. So it's a turning a corner, turning a chapter from some real challenge we've had in the past, and after a court victory, a civil case, it appears that there's some major things on the horizon, and those institutions of higher learning are very involved in that process.
Yes, we certainly are, and in the economic development, when I wear my economic development hat, and when I compare it with economic development programs in other areas, I know that is high on the list as well. When you want to recruit the best, you cannot limit it in sex and color and creed. And when other people want to come to town, they need to feel like they're welcome and that there are others of their kind here. And so we certainly make every effort to do that.
On that note, we have to bring a permanent conclusion. I want to thank you so much, Doug McQueen, the director of the University of Idaho Research Center in Post Falls, Idaho. You've been most helpful and most formative, and good luck on your work. I'm sure that it's not only going well, but will in the future.
Well, thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've so much enjoyed interviewing Doug McQueen, who is the director of the University of Idaho Research Center, and we hope you've enjoyed the program as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you. And we invite you to be with us again next week at this same time, when our program will turn to yet another issue, and it also will address University of Idaho in their curriculum. Until then, please have a good week. I am Tony Stewart.
Recorded on the campus of North Idaho College, Public Forum is the longest-running in-house college production on PBS. Each episode is pre-recorded live and is an educational outreach from North Idaho College. Please join us at this same time next week for another edition of Public Forum on this public television station.